Oh, hello. I'm back with another video about the game I'm a little too obsessed with, but I think this might be the one. I'm making this video because I need to be done thinking about this game, and that is the King of the Hill PC game. I've made several videos talking about how to get it to run, or how to, just showing the gameplay, first of all, showing the endings. I made a video in which I talked about how you need the original disk and a Windows 98 virtual machine and all this other stuff just to get it to run. But I was in the midst, actually as part of making an endings video, I was in the midst of looking through the source files for the game. The developers, when they packaged up the game in the ISO for the CD-ROM, they left all their stuff in there. So I was spending some time poking around and I discovered there's another way to play the King of the Hill PC game that does not require the original disc. And that's been the big hang-up, I think, for anybody who tries to play the game, right? Is this thing where the game, the ISO just will not run. Nothing will work unless you have that original disc. This one right here, I'm sure I've showed it off before. There it is again, original copy. But there's another way, as I am showing here on the screen. So you're going to need a few things, and there's going to be several different links and resources to follow. This video is going to be, because I'm not a programmer, I'm not the most technical person. I am just standing on the shoulders of giants, people who've done a lot of good work to make it possible to extract Shockwave games. And King of the Hill is a Shockwave game made in Macromedia Director. And people, you know, they're interested in Shockwave games, and they've figured out how to extract, you know, take the packaged game files, extract stuff out of them, whether it's to, you know, get the image assets, the sounds, or in my case, I discovered there was enough material there to just run the game in Macromedia Director, because again, the developers left the source files in there. So, step one, you don't need the disk. That's the best part. You can use the King of the Hill PC game ISO, which I will not link to that, but if you Google King of the Hill PC game ISO, you will find it. So that's your first step. Second step is you need to install Macromedia Director MX 2004. That's the version I used for this, and that's the one I can confirm is functional. So if you want to run the games, or run the King of the Hill PC game, that's what you need. So install that. And now at this point, I will link to this resource. Here on the right side, you can see that, I don't know this person's name, but their link, or their website is vinizinho.neocities.org/projects/shockwave-rip-rip.html. And I'll link to it. But basically the purpose of this guide that they wrote is they went online, they found a bunch of different resources, because their goal was to extract the assets out of Shockwave files. So that's what you see at the top. So that was their goal. That my goal was not to do that necessarily, but to just poke around in the source files. But basically this guide contains all the links to the files and resources you're going to need in order to set up the files from the developers to function properly. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a bit. And finally, you're going to need something called Nosamu's Director Files Extract. So this developer, Nosamu, you'll find them through the Discord. There's a Shockwave Discord channel, and it's an amazing resource, and everyone there has been super helpful. I'm so thankful for them, for being available to help me answer some questions. But one of the people on there is this guy, Nosamu, this person, Nosamu. They made a Python script called Director's File Extract. And the reason you need that is you need to take the exe file from the game and run it through the script to extract another file that has a DCR file name or extension. So you're going to need that tool. There are also some gotchas, but I'll get into that in a bit. So the first thing is the King of the Hill PC game ISO, and I have that here somewhere. Let's back it up. Let's back it up. So this is the ISO. You can see it on the screen there. So in my case, I right-clicked, and I was able to extract it. Or is there an extract? Here it is. If you have WinRAR installed, WinRAR, you right-click an ISO, you go to Extract Files, and you can extract everything in the ISO. And what you end up with in the case of the King of the Hill ISO is this, a folder that contains a bunch of different files. And the important areas of this directory are Hoot and Hunt. Now, the King of the Hill PC game, for those who are not familiar, it consists of two games called Texas Hunting and King of the Hill Hootenanny, aka Block Party. And it is really just two separately installed games contained on the one CD-ROM. So you end up with this sort of file setup, and inside of those two separate Hoot and Hunt folders, you can go through and eventually navigate your way into what looks like this. It's a big dump of a bunch of files that are installed for anybody who installs the game. So the developers, again, for this game just kind of didn't package it too securely, thankfully. It allowed me to get in there and poke around and do some stuff I needed to do. But this is what you're going to see when you do that. When you go through the King of the Hill PC game ISO, a whole bunch of stuff. The next step is installing Macromedia Director MX 2004. I have that here somewhere as well. Let's dig it up. Here it is. So I have already installed it on my machine. One note about that I'll say is this is a Windows 7 machine. That's the only OS where I've confirmed all of this works. If you decide to try this on Windows 10, drop a comment. Let me know if it worked or not. I just unfortunately didn't have the patience to try to start over on Windows 10. So that's a note. Windows 7 is where I have all of this working. So you can see here I installed Director MX 2004, and I can run it. And this is where I'm going to mention a gotcha regarding this. So Director, I guess these are plugins. So Director plugins are called Xtra files, XTRA, and you're going to have to configure a few of those as you follow the guide that I'll link to in the description. But at one point, it's going to tell you have to go into Components, Extras, and drop a whole bunch of extras files in there required to run all the tools and resources. So keep that in mind. MX 2004 configuration extras folder. That's where you're going to drop a whole bunch of different X32 or extras files with the X32 extension, and you're going to have to drop them in there. And actually, I'll just tell you now that the easiest thing you can do is to go into the extras folder for the games, either Texas Hunting or Hootenanny, copy all of the files in that extras folder, drop them into your director folder, and there you go. That'll cover a whole bunch of the files that the game needs in order to run, in addition to the stuff you'll get from the different resources. So that's it. So you install Director MX 2004, you can run it. I don't know if you'll run into these errors that I've run into, but if you just click OK through every single one of those errors, you'll be fine. Technology is great. Ignore errors and just keep going. So you end up in here. So you have Director installed. You've unpacked the ISO. Now, you might think you're ready, but you're not quite ready, because now is when you're going to go into the guide here. Let me bring up my documents. There it is. So now is when you're going to follow the instructions in here. And again, they kind of cover, like, yeah, you need Director. If you need to obtain Director, you'll find this in the guide. Here they talk about Nosamo's Cast Ripper tool. This is the tool you need if you want to extract the assets from all those files you saw in the game folder. And that's if you want to rip like the images, the sounds, the text files, which you might want to do that. So if you want to, that's where you find that information about how to do it. But the more important file for us here in this video about playing the game is the Movie Restorer Xtra file. So the links are going to be there for how to get it and how to. You can go to the GitHub repo, but I don't know. I never quite figure out how to get just the thing I need from a GitHub repo. So thankfully, Vinizino here also linked it directly at the bottom of this paragraph. So yeah, you're going to need Movie Restorer Xtra, and I'll show you why in a second. So I've already installed it. If you have it at Movie Restorer installed, you'll see it under your Extras menu. So let's say I want to open the Texas Hunting files. So if you go to the Texas Hunting game folder, you have a bunch of different files. You're going to see some cast files. They have a CST extension. If you try to open them, you can, but that's not really what you're after. What you want to run the game is the hunting dot. Basically you need the project file itself, and you see there's a hunting.dir file in there for director, but it's going to tell you that doesn't work. And this is where movie Restorer Xtra is going to come in handy. So where is that? Oh, sorry, I misspoke. You are going to need that, but before we get to that point, you're going to need, keep getting lost. You're going to have to extract the project file, the DCR file, from the exe. So if we go to the game folder, again, this hunting.dir file, that's not going to have what you need. What you need is contained within the exe. Director's not going to open an exe file, because this exe file is the exported file, project file. It's done and ready to run. But again, without the CD, if you don't have the original CD, you're not going to be able to run it anyway. So we have to extract the contents of that, in this case, thuntpc.exe file. So what I did in my case is I made a new folder. I made a folder called thuntpc. You can go in there, and I copied the exe file, and then we're going to run the extracting asset part of this guide. And again, they walk you through it. Sorry, here we go. This is what we need. We need the Python script. Oh. So if you go to the section of this guide called Bonus Extracting Assets from EXE Files, you can see that they kind of wrote up a brief summary of explaining you need this Python script, again, by Nosamu, this guy Nosamu. So we're in step 4. Oh yeah, I got my steps mixed up, sorry. But basically, you have to use this Python script to extract the contents of the exe file. So you need to install Python. Python is something that you can find easily on the internet. And after you install it, you might have to navigate straight to the directory. If you're not familiar with command line, basically you have to type in cd directory for Python and go and hit enter, and it'll take you straight there. After you navigate there, then you're going to run the script. Where is that script? Here we go. I'll highlight it here. So you have to call the Python. You have to call Python to run the shock.py file, which is what you'll download from the Python script in that link. And then you're going to attach it to the thunt or hoot exe game file. And that's a lot to say. And here on the screen, you can see I already have it. I already typed it out. I'll just scroll the cursor back very slowly until we get there. Again, I feel like a more technical or programmer type person might know how to navigate these things a little more quickly. But basically, you can see here I called Python, right? I'm in the Python directory, and I'm calling the Python program. And now you can see here that the first thing is I pointed to the shock.py file. That is the script that's going to extract what you need. And then I link it to the game executable itself. It's a big old directory to get there. If you have spaces in your folder name, you have to make sure to put quotes around that entire directory. So you can see here I have a quote at the beginning, and I have a quote at the beginning there. So once you do all this, you have the script installed or downloaded, you have Python installed, you've opened it in command line. Once you do all that, you run the script, and it's going to extract the DCR file into wherever the executable is located. So in this case, I had it into the separate, and I did this. You're going to be messing with a lot of the files needed to run the game. So you might want to be careful with what you modify and make copies of everything. I mean, I'll just say that. Make copies of everything. Keep the original. I mean, you'll always have the ISO. If you have to, re-extract the ISO, you're fine. But just, yeah, make copies, keep originals. So I ran the script, I extracted the file, and I end up with this, the hunting.dcr file. And that has to be in the main directory with all the rest of the files, so you can just copy that out into there. So there you go. So after you have used Nosamu's script to extract the DCR file, you can now go into Director. And now here's the step where we're going to use Movie Restorer Xtra by Tomi's Shadow. So the first thing you want to do is, again, if you have the extra in the right place, it'll show up in your extras menu, and you want to just go to Movie Restorer Tool 1.4.5 and enable it. And it'll say it's been enabled. And the reason you do that is because if you haven't enabled that extra, that resource, when you try to open the DCR, it's going to tell you it's protected. So this basically allows you to open protected files. And then you might get a pop-up about QuickTime if you haven't installed it. I don't have it installed because we don't need it. So there you go. So we took all the steps. We put all the files in the right places. We used all the resources. And now you have it open in Director. If you're not familiar with Director, much like Flash, was actually a tool for animation. And then people, because it had a scripting language, Lingo in this case, they were able to expand upon it to make interactive games like this. So once you extract it, you want to go to, I think that's it. So it's basically, the menu kind of treats it like a movie. So you want to make sure to hit rewind to start from the very beginning, which is what you want to do with these files, and then hit play. And there you go. So this is me running the game, no original CD in the drive. And obviously it's not...
Hello there, I'm Hank Hill. Hey everybody, here's how our competition basically works. Each animal you shoot is worth an assigned amount of points, and the hunter with the...
Sorry, shut him up. I was trying to say that obviously this is maybe not the ideal scenario. You want to be in full screen or something. But this will get the job done. So if you really want to just kind of, you can kind of close it in a little bit, you know, cut off the edges, but there you go. You can play the games. They are perfectly functional, that you can go from beginning to end, and you'll be just fine playing the game that way. It works. You don't need the CD. One note about these running the games this way is if you don't have QuickTime installed or set up properly, you might get errors in the beginning when you... let me see if I can show you. 1 second. So this was Texas Hunting. I'm going to go back and open Hoot. Hoot's program files. King of hell. Hoot Nanny. And I'm going to navigate to my original copy of the DCR file for this game. And yes, I'm starting anew. Oh, wait. My bad. Hold on. I'm going to start over here. Well, the caveat I was going to say is if you try to open these files and QuickTime isn't set up, you might get a bunch of errors telling you, because the game's open with some QuickTime movie logos. So you might get some errors about that. But, so at this point, you're most of the way there. Just hang with me a bit if you want to see the rest of this. And dealing with an error with the QuickTime portion of these games. A bunch of errors again. Cancel. Okay. Did it lower the system volume? What is this? That was weird. All right, we're going to go into, again, we're going to open the DCR file. All right, there you go. So if it's protected, that's the kind of error you'll get. That's why you have to enable Movie Restorer. File, open, DCR. Oh yeah, so again, if the DCR file isn't in the main directory with the game, with all the other files, then it might ask you to find certain things to run, which you can do. You know, you can do it separately. So I'll do that real quick here. You just have to find all these different files it's asking for to link to them. If I can find them. Is it in events? No, it's not in there either. Oh, it's in the main directory. All right, nav. I think nav was... Oh man, you probably saw it, and I'm missing it. Wait a minute. There it is. It's in the media folder. DG, oh, I know that one. That's definitely dialogue. DG, TT, CST, SE, I think that was in shared. No. That's in media? No. Events. Yeah, there it is. CSLib, I think that's shared. All right, now if I try to run this, let me see if it complains. It's not complaining. That red box that you saw, that's where the QuickTime logos would have showed up. Hold on a second. I want to really make sure we cover this point because I think a lot of people might run into this just like I did. All right, here's where we're going to dig into the files a bit. So I showed you how to play the games. This is the other cool aspect of this, is that you can just go through all of the scripts, all of the source files, and just poke around. I hacked it to be able to play the endings immediately because I wanted to record all the endings. So I just went through, I hacked this thing so when I pressed a key, it skips to the ending and it plays a specific ending. And I just did that over and over again until I watched all the endings in one go. So it was a pretty handy way to do that. This is all pretty cool. All right, hold on. QuickTime. All right, we're gonna do some hunting here. All right, yada yada yada. Not the most efficient search. Oh, here we go. Okay. So when I initially... Oh, no, stop it. So when I initially tried to play this game specifically, Hootenanny, in Director without modifying anything, I got a ton of errors up front complaining about QuickTime and telling me like, oh, this isn't working. And what happens is when you... let's say I put in something there. I just put in my own thing. When you have anything in the scripts that isn't legal or isn't expected, it's going to say, there's an error here, there's a problem. Click on the script button. It's going to take you straight to where the problem is to fix the problem. So here in this case, I added a word, pop. I fixed that problem, and now it's done. So in my case, what happened is I got a bunch of errors about QuickTime. And actually, let me show you that again. So we have something in there it doesn't like. It's going to complain. And when I started getting these QuickTime pop-up or error, prompts, what I did is every time it took me to a new line where it had a problem, I commented, oh, wrong line. I commented out that line of the script. And it must have happened a dozen, maybe 24 times where I kept saying, error here, error here, error here. And every time that happened, all I did was go in and I commented out the script, that line in the script, by adding 2 dashes in front. That's how you comment out or comment things out in Lingo script. So I did that, and I did that over and over and over again, and I ended up going through this QuickTime utilities and commenting out a bunch of stuff. So I don't remember what it was I commented out at this point. It was a whole lot. But the end result of commenting all those errors out or all those lines out, is that red box indicating you're missing some QuickTime movies. I personally don't care about having those in there as long as I can get the game to run. But once you do that, once you fix all those errors in the scripts by commenting out those lines, the next time you run it, eventually, it'll work. So now you can just play the game normally and go from there. Popper. And you have to click on the stamp.
Well, you must be our new neighbor. I am Peggy Hill. And on behalf of all of Arlen, I would like to say, Hola. That's Espanol for...
And that's it. So that's how you can get the King of the Hill PC game, both Hootenanny / Block Party and Texas Hunting, to run without that original disc. I hope this is helpful. I hope people can play this game. Like, I've been so obsessed with this game because it's so difficult to play it, and it's King of the Hill. Like, a ton of people like the show and are interested in, you know, stuff about it, and this game to me is just one of the most interesting things they ever released for this show. It's such a weird game. There are so many endings. There are like 46 endings or something. It's the fact that the developers have all of the source, not all of the source, but like all of the critical source files in the game that you can just poke around in and mess with. Like I said, and I ended up just hacking in some stuff that I needed to do with the game. So there's a lot to explore for anyone who wants to do that. But if you just want to play it, there you go. Enjoy, and yeah, let me know in the comments if if this was helpful, or if you have questions. I mean, I'll hop in and answer what I can. So till next time, see ya.
All right, Peggy, I replaced my watch battery, ate a Cinnabon, and bought a P-trap. I can't kill any more time. Let's go.